Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our fourth Symphony University. We've been doing this every month, usually with like a different industry topic or industry guest. The last one was Metro Boom's A&R be live, tuning in to talk about how to master the art of A&R. Before that, it was the independent artist Saba's manager. Saba performed at Coachella this year, super independently, and we had his manager on to talk about how to book your first tour. This one is a little bit different. I know that the year is kind of wrapping up. But we really wanted to use this time to connect with the community one last time before 2024, not only from, just a personal conversation standpoint, but also more so like a team standpoint, because I know it's been like myself or Monique or Charlia usually in front of the community. But now we've got everyone, 90% of the team that kind of runs the show behind the scenes here today. Really as an introduction to everyone, we're a very small team. We're very intimate with our community. But we also have different sides of the business that we'll dive into, but really just want to show you guys everything we've learned this year around artist development, everything we've seen from the tens of thousands of artists on the platform, and then kind of end with a little sneak peek of what we're heading to into next year. We've always been obviously been shipping out a bunch of features this year, but next year is like a lot of stuff, a lot of new stuff that will change what Symphony means to most people. But yeah, welcome to Symphony U, episode 4, 5 keys to success in 2024. I'm going to hand it off to Monique to carry it forward.
Thank you, Meg. We're super excited to have all of you here today. Again, this is a really special one, closing the year off with the whole squad here. This is kind of our titles, for lack of better terms. And I'm just going to let everyone kind of wave, and you guys can just talk about, or you guys can intro yourselves, but I kind of want to get right into it. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
Let's get right into it. Word.
So
I'm going to send it off to Nick. Nick's going to kind of lead what we have going on today.
No, I'm not seeing the slides change.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah, is that just me?
It's changed on my end.
Okay.
I'm not saying them either.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Always technical difficulties. Shout out.
Yeah.
Let me see.
1 second. You want me to share it on my side?
Can you guys see it right now or no?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, let's try again.
Nice.
Cool. Thank you. Yep. Awesome, guys. Great to meet everyone. I'm Nick, the head of business development at Symphony. I've been in the music industry for going on like 14 years. And 2023, like there's a lot happening. There's a lot of change in the air. And it's never been more dynamic to be an artist and what it takes to be successful as an artist. So I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this, but there's more music than ever. 120K tracks are uploaded every day to streaming services. So there's a lot of noise. It's very challenging to stand out. And that isn't going to change anytime soon with the dawn of AI. And we're already starting to see it, but there's going to be more and more music on streaming services that are competing for people's ears, And none of that is to like discourage anyone, because, if you're on Symphony U right now, like you took the initiative to be here, I'm pretty confident that you are like on this earth to be an artist. And there are people out there that are on this earth to be your fans. So there might be a lot of noise in between you and your fans right now. But there are ways that we're going to talk through in this presentation around how to break through that noise and build your fan base. The other thing that's changing, I'm sure a lot of you have seen, is the streaming payouts in negotiations with the majors and with Spotify that are not in favor of independent artists, straight up. Like there's, a side note is that there's going to need to be some like union work and some government lobbying around that. But it's not for the working class artists. And so what that means is that your audience is your money, is your future, is your career. So you need to be thinking about how you bring that audience into the fold and tell your story to recruit fans one by one into your world. And we're going to talk about how to do that a little bit today. But this has always been important for artists going back to, the greats. But it's more true than ever where, again, like your fans are waiting for your music. So it's on you to find them, build that relationship, build your story, and be able to market to them going forward. And the last thing that's changing, I would say, is the pace of tech updates and also like the position of the major tech platforms and streaming services around the relationship to creators and artists. So I come from tech, and obviously, we're in tech here. And like I've talked to major platforms where they are competing to do right by creators and artists because they understand that that's value for them by creating value for you. And so there's new programs across like every streaming service, every social media platform that help enable creators either through better understanding your audience and your data, reaching your fans, monetizing your fans. Sometimes there's grants and things like that. And so I would encourage any artist in 2024 to be studying the tech landscape almost as closely as the music industry landscape. And especially with AI, this is changes on a daily basis. So for me, the outlets I follow closest are like TechCrunch, TubeFilter. The information is a paid one, but like very like they have the gossip first on what's about to change. But what we see is when a major tech platform makes a change, there's this moment where early adopters, the artists that get in there first, have a huge advantage that they can then carry forward with them, and that in some cases help launch a career. So like your artistry is number one, always be focusing on that, but this is just another area to be looking at in 2024. And so to reach these fans, content is king, and content is where your music, your story meets the people. So with that, I'll hand the mic over to the team to talk about content.
Cool. I appreciate that, Nick. Can you guys see my screen? Did it change?
It did not change.
It did not.
Why is it doing that?
One thing too, real quick, Nick joined us recently. Previously, he was at Linktree, and so he's seeing kind of the whole scale of kind of the artist journey, right, or the creator journey from like folks who are starting with links all the way to building up a career literally off the internet. So he's bringing a lot of good insight to the team, and especially in this conversation, he's seen so many different sides of the creator business that it's definitely wise to heed some of his words there.
Appreciate that, Meg.
Yes, sir.
Can you guys see my screen now?
Now we can see it.
I think it's because it's just sharing on the individual one, so I need to like come out and repress it every time. Anyways, hey guys, my name is Monique. I'm sure a lot of you might recognize my face. I'm head of community here at Symphony, and I kind of want to go over just content strategy and what we've seen change up until 2023. First and foremost, we see a big decline in music videos, right? So over the past few decades, attention span has obviously significantly declined. We see the boom in like the 90s music video culture that helped shape a lot of, where we're at with music today. But with attention spans declining, we also see that, the music videos have kind of fallen short in that area also. And this doesn't go to say that you shouldn't be creating your music videos, but it also goes into like a shift in mentality that maybe starting your strategy when you're marketing with music videos and content isn't always the most effective way to reach your audiences. So with that comes like an increase in short form content, right? So with people's attention being shorter, people are looking for a more easily digestible way to, enjoy content. And with a music video being like 3 to 8 minutes long, TikTok videos, Instagram reels are much shorter, and they're allowing people's attention to be caught for a longer period of time. And in that, we also see like the sound era and what's come with short form content. And this plays a part in just how music is showing up in the industry today, and how, music right now is way more accessible than it was before. And getting it in front of people with the amount of music being released every day is a struggle, right, that we are always looking to overcome. And a really cool example that I've found and I've seen is something very interesting is Surround Sound JID, and a song that released almost 2 years ago, now being viral and charting today. And the connection between, marketing your music and continuing to market your short form content, and that your music isn't and doesn't stop where, you release. So like, I'm sure all of us do recognize this challenge, the ceiling taping challenge. And
What the fuck impact?
with that kind of goes, you know, the idea that even if you do release music at a certain time, your music doesn't end there, you know, like the content around it can still continue, and it should still continue because there's always opportunity for it to continue. And Tyla with Waters.
The videos.
Yeah, the videos aren't playing.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
the videos are playing.
Okay. Well, that's okay. This kind of goes with the idea that, you know, for Surround Sound JID, the ceiling taping challenge, which I'm sure all of you saw, like that's something that's created by the people, right? So it's a sound that became like viral, and people decided to pick up on it and create a challenge around it because people decided to just focus on short form content instead of just this long form music video type content. Tyla is a similar situation where, you know, she decided to create a dance out of what, you know, her music meant to her creativity, and people picked up on that also and decided to start creating, you know, a similar dance and exposing their dance moves in all of this also. So I think all to say is that music's decline in, you know, long attention span versus short attention span is we should be focusing on how to get our content more easily digestible to our audience. And with that comes, in preparation for 2024, you know, being original and being authentic and being vulnerable. With music videos, it's very something that is on the surface, and people don't always have, you know, interest to see something that they can get anywhere per se. People want to get into who you are. People want to know who you are. So focusing on short form content and being able to reach people in a way that goes beyond just something, you know, huge. I feel that, again, music videos are still important, but instead of just focusing on creating a music video with your initial release strategy, it could be a thing where, you know, you create your short form content and you prepare your short form content. And if something decides to start picking up traction, then maybe a consideration is a music video, but the importance of continuing to create short form content in 2024. And with that, also setting goals and being consistent. I think the most important part of showing up on social media is consistency, right? So if you're like posting one video once every 3 weeks, you're not gaining that flow where people are like drawn to pressing on your page once they see your video and wanting to follow you. People want to be able to keep up to what you're doing and see what you're doing and being active on what you're doing. So being consistent is honestly one of the most important parts of this, and just shifting our mindset from, you know, short attention span, from long attention spans to short attention spans, and how we can continue to be consistent. And with that being said, we kind of go into the whole world building content aspect of this and creating a lifestyle around it. And I'm going to bring this over to Chris to be able to talk about that, but I'm going to have to
Real quick, let me try sharing on my side.
Right.
Yes, please.
I think I may have cracked it.
I would love to show you guys these examples.
Boom.
But what's up, guys? For now, give you a quick intro on me. My name's Chris. Head of content here at Symphony. Over the past few years, I've been doing creative strategy and content creation for artists of all sizes. And I've noticed a few things that I've come across all types of artists, and like so like creating content should be like a mindset, right? Like it doesn't, like creating content doesn't have to be as difficult as one would think. Sorry about that, guys. Creating content doesn't have to be as difficult as creating a music video. Back in the day, going off of what Monique was just saying, content was much more difficult to come by. You'd have to get a full team. Everyone needed to come together, and, you know, 12-hour day for one piece of content, you know, that used to be very difficult. But now, since the decline in the necessity of music videos and the increase of short form content, like your phone, all you need is your phone, you know, like just simply putting your phone down, stepping back a little bit, and showing people just your true self, you know what I mean? Like, so I have a few really cool examples right here. If you want to click this first one. Yes, sir. So like this is like a great style of content that's like just coming off of everything what Monique was just jumping off of too, just coming off real, authentic, and vulnerable, you know, like it's not overproduced. And this whole thing, this guy's just putting his camera down and saying, look, this is me, and I want to share this with you. You know what I mean? As simple as that. And he's just putting his song behind the song, and just writing a little piece on there. I don't know if you can really read what it says, but he just says something like, "Hey, my name is Monrovia Boy. And I'm an Afro artist who's, you know, who's pushing this Appalachian folk sound, and like if you found this, then like you were the right person, like at the right time, whatever it is." But like by the time you've read that full you know, that text thread, the video is now played twice, maybe even three times before you've realized Instagram is now seeing like, this person has just watched this video 2-3 times. Like this must be like good content. Let's push it to more people, you know? So like you don't have to make a whole music video for people to like find your content. So like that's why we're saying it doesn't have to be as difficult, but like the fans just want to feel something that's real, you know? So that's why we say like create world building content. So like another example is that bottom right one. If you want to click it, the bottom right. So this is an artist by the name of Hoodie. I think he makes a lot of great simple content. Like it looks like he might have his phone on top of his refrigerator, or maybe taped to something above him, and he's just you know, spitting some his music, and just catching a cool vibe. You know, maybe just threw a bandana on his head, give it a little, you know, put a little spice in there, and then he also gave it his own style font. So this, like, every time I go to his page now, I'm seeing like these same style videos. I'm entering a world. I'm seeing these font styles, these colors. I'm seeing all these. I'm like, okay, this is Huddy. Like this is his thing. You know what I mean? So like now it's like now like every time I go back to him, I know what to expect in a type of way. You know? So like, and what I've also noticed that there's like a few types of content that work very well right now. Number one is the POV style content. That was that first style that I showed you guys with Monrovia Boy. And that's like just like POV. You just found an artist that is that's gonna be your favorite artist of all time, but you didn't know it yet, something like that, whatever, right? And then like the hook plus performance. It is a great style right now. It's in the top right corner if you want to play that. I don't know if the audio is working, but you start off with a hook, and the guy says like, I quit music. Like I'm never gonna play music. I'm never doing music again. And it doesn't matter if you know the guy or if you are a fan of the guy. No matter what, you're like, oh shit, excuse me. He's like, oh crap. You're like, you quit music. Why? And now you got me hooked. So now I'm gonna like wait a couple more seconds, and then before I could even figure out why he quit, he cuts into his music. So like it was just an abrupt cut right into his music, and now I'm like, oh, now I'm listening to your song, and you know what? It was pretty good, you know. So it was like it's really cool. So and he just flips it back to the beginning. And then another really important thing I can't stress it enough is understanding your analytics, reading your analytics, checking your insights, and asking yourself like, why did this happen? Like, you know what I mean? So like, or like, why are these numbers lower and why are these higher? You just have to just try to break down these things. But other than that, it's really just, you know, have fun, you know, because I think that is the most important thing that you need to do when creating content. Like you just need to remember that this is what you're doing it for, you know? So yeah, that's the content. You can go to the next
A lot of good examples you drew in here. One thing to add too, I feel like these different examples are very different approaches to making content. And I think, you know, I know music videos were really big, you know, kind of leading up to the TikTok era, and there's still a big part of the narrative storytelling around your music. The way I look at TikTok and short form content, and when we're talking artists, how we talk them through it is it's just a different surface area to tell your story, right? And to Chris's point, there's a lot of ways and hooks that have worked historically, but there's also a lot of ways of putting content together and hooks that haven't been put out there. And so don't be afraid to like experiment and test. That's kind of the beauty of short form, is that you're not spending this big budget on a music video that may or may not resonate. You can make a few clips, you can throw them out there. Once you see something resonating, that's when you can double down. It is kind of unfortunate that the world has moved to a place where consumption and discovery happens a lot off these short form platforms. But the way Huddy did it, right? You don't have to have it be a diminisher to your creativity. You can still bring people to the world, put in set props, get your outfits ready, you know, have your fonts on there, have it still reflect the brand and world you want to build and the story you want to tell. It's just a different canvas to do it. So that's like, you know, my 2 cents around just short form content as well. I think a lot of artists, especially in the last 2 years, have gotten very fatigued by this idea of always putting out content and having to put it out to get discovered and heard. That said, if you shift your mindset a little bit, it's not necessarily a churn game where you have to keep putting out content. You can still get kind of creative with it and try and represent your world through it. Music videos obviously have a place when you have a larger narrative and story to tell. But when it comes to fan discovery and finding new entry points for people to find you, short form is, the best way to go, just given where music is at today.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say, just to I forgot to say it, is batch content, guys. Batch content. It's like you never want to catch up. Play, just prepare yourself, treat one day as a music video day where you sit down maybe on a Saturday or Sunday for 10 hours. Yes, I said it, 10 hours, just like a music video. If you're shooting a music video, you would spend 8 to 10 hours on that day shooting. So like sit down. If you don't have 10 hours, that's okay. Do 4 hours, okay? But batch 20 videos and you won't have to sit down once again for the rest of the month, and like try it one time. I promise you guys, it'll change your life.
Yeah, one thing someone mentioned in the comments around music purists who are dismissive about content creation. It's really interesting, right? If you look at even artists across rollouts, look at Travis Scott, for example, right? Astroworld was the last project, and then Utopia just came out. If you look at the staying power of those projects and how big those music videos were back then compared to today, Astroworld had the whole year on fire. Travis was dropping crazy ass videos, pardon my French, crazy videos, making crazy worlds around that golden head he had on the artwork, and everyone was eating it up all year. That was right before TikTok. And then now, post TikTok era, Travis just dropped Utopia. Obviously, fans are tuning in. Obviously, people are checking out the music videos, but the staying power of each individual song or video is so much more diminished just because there's so much more music. And so, that $10-15 million budget they spent on those videos for this album, they could have spent it, not even spent it at all. And Travis could have been on TikTok making videos that maybe has some of those world building elements. And it might have served him better than spending all that money on these long form music videos. That's not to say he didn't make heat. It's just more so a testament to kind of where we're at when it comes to music discovery and the platforms people tend to engage on nowadays. Yeah, that's that on that. Building community.
Yeah, this brings us to the importance, right, of building community. I think a really good mindset to have is your fans are your greatest asset. At the end of the day, if you don't have fans, you don't have a music career. Your fans are the ones who are going to stream your music. Your fans are the one who are going to come to your shows. Your fans are the one who are going to buy your merch. So a question that I like to ask is, if Instagram were to disappear today, do you still have content or contact or access to your fan base, right? So data ownership plays into the role of having direct communication with your fans and being able to directly connect with your fans, right? So you shouldn't just rely, of course, social media is a great avenue to find new fans, to connect with fans, but that funnel needs to come down where you then are able to shift into having direct connection and communication and owning data of your fans, so that's like emails, locations, names, things of that form. So there's lots of pieces of technology that help you leverage owning your data ship. A nice example is Symphony Forever Saves, for example. If your fan forever saves your song, you're then going to get data on them, which is their name, their location, and their email address. So when you have the data of your fans and you're able to directly communicate with them, you begin to build a community that doesn't require you to have anything else, right? Like you are in direct ownership of having access and having communication and contact with your fans. There's different platforms that allow you to facilitate that. Use social media to connect with people, of course, but find ways to create funnels into not just having that be a communication, but also, gathering their email, knowing and learning where they're from, where they're, tuning in from. And certain services like Superphone or like Laylo allow you to collect phone numbers and, send text messages and directly communicate with those fans. And then something like Discord allows you to create a community around your music. Going into world building content, you want to bring people into your world. What does it mean to be into your world? What does your world look like, right? So in 2024, I think that we should start considering, what does my world look like as an artist? How can I bring people into my world? How can I have direct communication and build this community around my world, similar to the Astro World example? That was a whole world built into and around Travis. And how can you do that, for yourself also at whatever scale you may be at? And genuine connections is something that's really important here. You want to be able to genuinely connect to your audience. Like, you're never too cool, too big to connect to a fan, like your fans are one of the most important parts of your career, and finding ways to genuinely connect with them and reach out to them. Like, if they comment on your post, send them a DM, like, hey, I appreciate your support. Like, I would love to tap in. Like, that's an opportunity to connect and get an email, get a phone number for your text list, for your email list. So there's different ways to just leverage this genuine connection with your fans. And that's going to take you a long way. Something that I love to say is 1,000 loyal fans will take you further than 100,000 streams. At the end of the day, those 1,000 loyal fans are going to buy your merch. They're going to go to your concert. They're going to stream your music. They're going to support you. You need those people that are going to ride for you. So builds loyal community in 2024. That's an important mindset to go into the new year with.
100%. More on this too. Like, I think this is like, I think everyone's been talking about building a community all year. I think especially as like, Twitter was kind of getting a little bit rocky, and everyone was like, oh, like Twitter might go down. Our entire following might go down here. Maybe we hop to Threads, and I think for us as a product and like us philosophically, I think the biggest piece of ownership is like literally being able to contact your fans whenever, anytime. Right now, Symphony has been very geared towards like these social media platforms and streaming platforms, and making it easier to bring fans on these places into your kind of community. But I think the next step for us, and we'll dive into this a little bit, is like, how do you take that fan data? How do you identify who's actually engaging with you, who actually wants to buy merch or has already bought merch? Then how do you do that on a repetitive basis? Every release, every music video or short form piece of content you drop, every tour, every piece of merchandise, giving you more tools and surface areas to like understand who these fans actually are that care about you deeply, and then giving you tools to actually reach out to them. There's a lot of great folks that do that. It's also something that we're looking at very closely, especially as we're moving into this like not post social media world, but a world where owning your data becomes more and more important as these platforms go through a lot of changes. That's just my 2 cents. Like, I think this is a big kind of buzzword, almost like building community, that a lot of people have kind of used. But if you do it smartly, like Russ just dropped a phone number, right? He has 50,000 fans now. Like, he dropped it today. He has 50,000 fans that signed up immediately. He can text them whenever he wants. That's very valuable. But yeah, I'll stop harping on this. We'll move on. Automation, Drew and Bo. Y'all want to give a little intro and dive in?
Yeah, so I'm Drew. You may have spoken to me if you have reached out through our support chat. Kind of been doing ads, specifically in the music side for 5-6 years now. But basically, I've seen what a small artist goes through all the way up to major label artists, and the strategy that they take along with some of the hurdles that they face. And one of the biggest things in 2022 that we were seeing is artists were spending way too much time being a manager and not an artist. We just have all these conversations about you have to create your content, you're testing, you're looking at your fan data, you're looking at there's so many things you're looking at, when in reality you're a music artist. Going back to the music purist, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to create music. And that's where in 2022 we didn't really have that many tools, and if they were, there far and few between. Going into last year, or this year, 2023, we all saw AI just boom. Especially in the beginning of the year, there were so many different tools to the point where it was overwhelming. Everyone's telling you use this tool, but they're all for the same thing. Which one should you use? And what I've seen this year is there's a lot of very, very good AI tools, but it's just a matter of kind of wading through all the weeds. You need to like take a step back, look at your journey as an artist and think, okay, what is taking the most time away from me actually making music? And you work backwards from there. If I'm spending too much time creating content or editing content, maybe I look into an AI content creator. There's some like Midjourney, there's some like Dolly, where you can just put in your video that you took, your short-term video, and it'll pump out 10 different variations of it with different captions, with different timestamps, different transitions. And that just takes away all of that time from you actually having to manually go in and make those pieces of content. And that's just on one side of it. It could be copywriting. It could be actually figuring out your posting schedule, not having to actually go in and manually post everything. Go in, like Chris said, spend 10 hours on a Saturday, create 20 different pieces of content and line it up for the whole month. So that's the biggest thing that to take from this year going into next year is figure out what is taking away your most time from being an artist and use AI as the tool to fill that gap. Because I've been on so many calls with artists and not a single one of them loves doing the manager side of stuff. Everyone doesn't want to do it. And that's why you're all in this call with Symphony, is that's just one tool to automate the whole artist process. So just figuring out the landscape of other tools to go around that. But I'll kind of lead this into Bo, who's going to go over a couple of examples for some campaigns that we've seen this year work really well.
How you doing, guys? Been here for a bit. Worked in artist experience, was an artist myself way back in the day. Want to just kind of rope these different things we've been talking about into two specific playbooks that we use at Symphony. And Monique touched on it a little bit beforehand, but our forever saves and our pre-saves and kind of why that's important. So just looking at the photo, if you guys can see it clearly, this is just an example of a pre-save from somebody for Summer Walker. And this is the data that you get back and why it's important to look at this data. So you can see, there's 5-6 different songs that people were able to pre-save and get those songs direct into their Spotify accounts. And, if you're a kind of lazy listener like myself, getting 21 Savage songs or Chief Keef songs directly deposited into my library is kind of what I'm looking for rather than going out and listening to it. And utilizing that data that you get, if you were to go out of this this example, you would be able to see for all the people who pre-saved, you can then download those CSVs, use that for the, we were talking about emailing and texting, getting the numbers, getting the emails, but also getting the locations, and being able to see all that data in one place and then having it kind of used for other different types of marketing campaigns on Symphony. And now we have SoundCloud and AudioMac pre-saves as well, and forever saves. So, we're trying to cover the whole basis and make sure that no matter how you listen, your music will get to the fans that you need. So if you could switch it to the next slide. So using that pre-save data, Symphony kind of builds out custom audiences based on who pre-saved, who listens to the track, where your fans are coming from, Instagram, etc. And this example right here is really trying to highlight you want to use these tools as a direct way, to use the data to find fans that want to listen to your music. So you can use Spotify. You can see where your top listeners are from, use the data that you've gathered, and then run these ad campaigns to find more of those fans. I'm from New York, right? I have a preference to listen to probably New York drill. And, so if you're targeting the locations where fans are more likely to listen to your music because, it's an area, a geography that happens to like it more, then you use these tools to get to where you need to go. And to get those great streams. And as you can see, man, 12 cents, 13 cents cost per conversions, man. That's what you guys are going for. That's what you guys need. And so that's really the highlight here for the playbooks. And I'm gonna toss it off to Meg to kind of wrap this up. Meg, you're muted.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Real quick, one thing to add on to this too is like we've packed a lot of data into these Symphony playbooks. Back in the day, it used to be like, all right, like run an ad campaign and it's like, word, you got this many clicks for this cost. We've added on all this additional stuff around how much you're actually growing on Spotify, on Instagram, on Shazams, and also what the demographics look like of people that are actually engaging. So the demographics tab on like Symphony Instagram playbooks, for example, you can go in and see the ages and genders of people that click through and how much it costs, the countries, cities, states they've come from. This data is very interesting, right? Because if you ran an ad campaign, let's say for your song, and you saw a specific city or a specific country was resonating the most, we've actually had artists look at that data and analyze that data for future releases where, we had an artist run a campaign and see that in the 3 states around them, 2 or 3 cities were popping up the most at the lowest cost in terms of engagement. They actually went and planned a tour off that data because they knew that when they marketed their show in those locations, they get similar engagement. So there's a lot of ways to slice and dice this data that's out there. We have a big priority for us is kind of take this data that we're presenting and tie it all together going into 2024, just because there's a lot of data points and a lot of considerations with them. But at a starting point, it's, the transparency is just helpful to know what your fan base actually looks like that wants to click and listen to your music. But the next phase of Symphony is really taking these data points and contextualizing them like, all right, bet, like you've got this many people that follow you on Instagram, this is their geographic breakdowns, but these are the people that clicked on your ads and this is their geographic breakdowns. And these are the people who pre-saved and forever saved. These are their geographic breakdowns. And what we're trying to do going to 2024 is kind of take these different layers of data points and make it much more easier to read and much more concise. Bianca, yeah, all the cities tend to be outside of the US in the earliest cases because it's really cheap to click through from those places and get streams. That's kind of the beauty of music nowadays, though, right? Is that, there's artists I've met that have their biggest following in like Mexico and India, places like that. But it's still real fans that will actually engage with your releases when you put them out. But to dive into like, I guess I'll close it out, Meg closing it out. Where Symphony is going, where Symphony is and where it's going. It's been a long few years, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna run you all through kind of real quick backstory on Symphony, right? The idea really came to us in 2020 to what Drew was saying earlier. There's a lot of platforms out there. There was like Feature FM for the link in bio. There was like community.com and MailChimp for like, email, phone number tracking. There was Chartmetrics for fan base analytics. And then like marketing, especially paid marketing, was like, dang, like maybe my homie who runs Facebook ads can do it for me, or like I have to spend a bunch of money on an agency, to actually get this job done. And we're sitting there like, all right, like we're solving this by hand across all these platforms. But for the average artist that's becoming more and more like a small business, maybe without even a manager, how does an average artist manage all of this across all these platforms? So we went into 2021 like, all right, cool. Like this situation kind of sucks. Marketing is a big pain. It takes 4 or 5 platforms to get done. What if instead we built one platform where every single one of these tools lived and all this data kind of talked to each other? That was really the inception of Symphony. It was like, all right, like why don't we just take all these tools that everyone uses and bring them into one place for one really affordable price? So it started with that simple question, simple idea. We dropped a very ugly version of Symphony in 2022. It was all green, no purple. We had one playbook, increased record streams. The graphs were all, not curvy. They're all like jagged and stuff. It was very ugly back in the day, but it was just an initial idea of like, all right, what if we took this dashboard data, so one marketing playbook, we took a website tool set and put it into one place, and it was ugly, but artists started using it. I remember like the first month we dropped, I think like March or April of last year, and we had like 100 artists making websites, and we're like, oh snap, there's something here. So as we kind of got deeper into it, we're like, all right, cool, let's focus on just this one main problem that we know every artist has, which is how do you bring in new fans to come and discover your music? So in 2022, we really focused on that part of the problem, really trying to bring in all of these new fans across Instagram, across Facebook, across YouTube, and build playbooks like increased music streams and like increased video views that make people that haven't heard about you find out about you more easily. And then as we kind of started examining it a little bit, we're like, oh, snap, we also have all this data of people clicking on link in bios from the website tab. These are different sets of fans than the people coming in from ads. These are fans that may already be following an artist and want to engage with a new release. And then we started realizing that, okay, cool, the ads are great. They're great for bringing in people that may not have heard about a release, but there's no way for us right now to know if someone clicks on an ad, comes back and pre-saves, and then comes back and buys merch. We hadn't really set that up. So this year really was focusing on bringing in, beyond advertising, more of that fan data into the fold. We dropped pre-saves. We had like dope artists like Summer Walker and Coi Leray, a bunch of like really big artists sign on too. But the idea for this year, after really starting out on paid marketing last year, was how do we get a simple solution, a really easy way for artists that are using the same tool to also start collecting their fan data in the same place. And then we started adding automations where Symphony's backend would start reading your fan data to power ads and power ads targeting. And so we kind of create the first half of the loop where it was like, all right, you come in, you run some ads, you collect some fan data, and then your fan data informs your ads data, and it's kind of a self-perpetuating feedback loop. But as we got to the end of this year, we're like, all right, cool, like this makes a lot of sense. You can now make pre-saves on this side, you can now run ads on the other side. But the next step for us is like, all right, cool. We can bring in fans, we can help you collect more data on fans. How do we make it even easier to turn these fans that come in through ads that might just be passively listening to you and following you into active fans that are subscribing to you, that are actually giving you their data, that are engaging with your releases? And so that's really where, I'll skip one slide, but that's really what we're looking at for 2024, which is, we have this entire funnel built out in the app. We have marketing data at the top. We have data on fans that are pre-saving in the middle. We don't really have data on how fans are engaging after they pre-save. We don't have data on, if they're buying merchandise, if they're buying tour tickets, things like that. And so when we're looking at next year and looking at kind of the tools we want to drop next year, we spent a lot of time building these levers, right? Create these ad campaigns, create pre-saves, track the data. But the next step is how do we take all this data and bring it all together where you have all these different fans in the same place and you can more effectively segment them and see what they're doing and who they are. So one big thing we're looking at dropping in January is deeper fan insights. So what this means is not only using your pre-save data, but also looking at forever save data and ad campaign data, sorting down who your average fan is across these different platforms and across these different segments of the fan funnel, and making it more clear that, hey, your average fan that just streams you and doesn't buy merchandise is from these 3 cities. But the fans that actually subscribe to you and may want to buy merchandise, they're actually from these 3 cities and these 3 places, making it more easier to collect fan data anytime. So you can not only create a pre-save to collect emails and phone numbers, but almost like Lalo style or MailChimp style, build a landing page at any time. Maybe you want to go and collect emails and phone numbers just forever. You can put that in your link in bio. Say you have an event coming up, like a local show you're playing. You could use Symphony to build RSVP pages and start collecting emails and phone numbers that way. All of these things kind of feed into this fan insights tool set we're building where, we have the data coming in and we'll also have the tools to actually analyze that data on more of a contextual level, not just like we got 50 emails, but like, we got 50 emails and 10 of them came from LA, 10 of them came from this place, 10 of them came from this place, and the rest were spread out across these places. So one big focus for us is how do we keep turning passive fans into active fans and give artists and creators tools to take those active fans and actually analyze who they are and where they're from. A second big piece that kind of expands on our marketing tool set is just more playbooks that are much more diverse. We really started out this year and last year, kind of ending last year, focused on things like streams and views, like very high level metrics around just like getting your numbers up. As we've kind of spent this year learning how artists kind of grow and learning how, artists become businesses, the next step of the funnel is very important for us too. So you might have a fan that comes in from a streaming ads campaign, but now how do you use ads to get that same fan or maybe more fans like them to give you their email address or go and buy things from your merchandise store? So the next phase of marketing playbooks we're going to drop is going to be oriented around deeper actions in the fan journey, driving campaigns on TikTok, on Instagram to increase your Shopify sales, using ads to drive more tour purchases and ticket sales, using ads to even collect emails and phone numbers off the Symphony landing page you built out. So kind of next phase of fan interaction is a big focus for us as well. And then to tie it really all together, you know, we'll have the fan base data, we'll have the marketing tool set, the link in bio tools, the CRM tools. And we talk a lot about AI, but I don't think, I don't think we've really done a great job at surfacing the AI tools on platform. So that's where we really go, to start next year off and dive even deeper into next year. It's, we built the tools to actually help you grow, but the next phase of this is having these tools work for you, ideally automatically. So Symphony tracks when you drop a song, you load up a budget, automatically starts running your campaign. It knows the last time you dropped a song, so automatically creates you a pre-save. And, it kind of tracks everything, readjusts in real time, and gives you feedback based on that. This is kind of where we want to take it with something called AI action plans, where Symphony's tracking your entire fan base, all of your releases, all of your data, and then proactively recommending you actions you can take either around paid marketing or around data collection to more easily grow across the board. So those are like three big themes for us next year: AI, more playbooks that are separate from views and streams, and just more tools to actually understand your fan base. And it goes back to this ultimate funnel where, you could use ads to make non-fans or, people that have no idea about you or about, you period, just like listening to you, following you, things like that. Use tools like pre-saves and data collection to turn more passive fans into active fans and get their data. And then ultimately use some of these fan segmentation tools we want to build alongside hopefully some AI tools we built to support that analysis. So you can actually know like, this fan, Meg in Brooklyn, New York, pre-saved 7 of your songs, forever saved on this date, also bought merch from you at this date. You should probably hit them up first the next time you drop something else. So all that said, I'm skipping back and forth, but this slide is supposed to be at the end. Yeah, y'all, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support, in the last year and a half as we've been building this. We've started this year with 3,000, 4,000 artists. We're ending the year with 25,000 artists on the platform. We have super big artists using it, the Tinashes, the Coilo Rays, and Mustafa, Summer Walkers. We have a bunch of independent artists using it. We partnered with United Masters this year, partnered with AudioMac this year, a few more partnerships launching next year as well. But really couldn't have done any of this without this community that we built out. And we want to keep on giving back by way of things like this, where we're talking to you, or we're bringing on someone super dope to talk to you about their superpower. And then just keep on adding more cool tools, because ultimately, the more artists that have these tools, the more creators that have these tools, in our opinion, the more people will be able to succeed at turning their passion into a living. So that's kind of that on my side. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if anyone else on the team has anything to say, but if not, we'll open the floor up to questions for everyone that tuned in.
Thank y'all for joining today. Shout out to the team. Hi, everyone. My name is Charlie. If you haven't met me, I'm the chief of staff here at Symphony. And today's session was amazing. So we're going to open it up for questions. 2 things I would love to plug. Bo, if you want to drop the Discord link in there, definitely come join the community. And the new year, we're definitely looking to make it more active as Bo spams the chat with the Discord link. Thank you, Bo. Trying to make it more active, get you guys more involved, get you guys some sneak peeks into features and such. And then the other thing I want to also announce is coming in January as well. We're going to have these monthly webinars. So what Bo and Drew went over today were a little bit of a sneak preview of some of our playbooks. And I know Meg touched upon it as well. And I know some of you guys have been asking, okay, I'm on Symphony, I'm using it, but how do I use it more? How do I use it, even better than I have right now? So those monthly webinars are really going to help you guys increase those streams, make better campaigns and so on and so forth. So look out for those in the new year.
Best practices, walkthroughs, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Thank you, Bo. So a question that I see is, would we ever build a label facing dashboard?
Great question. We just had a meeting on that yesterday. We're going to be building out, we have a lot of independent artists and even labels starting to use the tool, which is super dope for us because we kind of built this to say, fuck the labels a little bit. But we're here for everyone. And so we are building out kind of a team/roster facing view of the platform, probably in Q1 we're looking at. But that is a big focus for not only the like larger folks, but even like aspiring managers who want to use Symphony to manage their entire roster from day one. That's something we're really looking forward to. Is Symphony hiring engineers? I love the product. Soon. We're still heads down on just building the business up, but hopefully, Q1, Q2 of next year, we'll be hiring more folks onto the team. They asked, are the new playbooks based on aggregate lookalike audiences or simply based on each artist's data? This is where conversions comes in. We made a really big push to introduce something called conversions and like pixels into Symphony this summer. And the reason is that it's essentially a way, if you put a pixel, like Facebook pixel or TikTok pixel on your website, it's a way to be able to track who takes a specific action on your website. Maybe it's clicking on a streaming link, maybe it's pre-saving or buying merchandise. But all this data lives in the same system as all your other data. So when we bring out these new playbooks like increased shop sales, we want to not only be able to report back how many clicks you got, report back how many sales you got, and how much revenue you got directly from these ads. And so when we start rolling them out, there'll be a big educational push around this, but the goal is to make it all based on your data, all based on data from other artists in similar categories we've seen, but ultimately something that learns over time based on what you're feeding it from your results. How does an artist get started with Symphony? Symphony.to. It's free to sign up. Anyone can sign up at any time. But the link, drop it right here real quick. And then someone asked, what are running ads for Snapchat? That is a big focus for us too. I will say it's a little bit lower priority than some of these other things we've discussed, but we have a big audience globally, places like Africa, South Asia, and we've heard that Snapchat ads are a really big factor for their marketing, not only for music, but all releases. So it's something we're looking at, especially going into Q2, Q3. We want to get some of these more prescriptive playbooks, we call them, kind of out before we start diving in and expanding beyond just Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Yeah. So I know that was a lot. I'm trying to answer questions, run and gun. Any other questions, y'all, before we wrap up? Going once, going twice. Cool. Well, yo, thank you so much. I know it's the holidays. I know it's December. It's like the end of the year, but we really appreciate y'all for tuning in, for listening to the whole team speak, and also for meeting the team. We're a very small team. We're a very intimate team. We try and stay on the ground with the community, with the artists. So like this was a very special moment for us too, to be like, yo, this is us. We're not a big, massive corporation. It's just a bunch of people on the other end that love working with artists and building dope stuff for creators. But yeah, we will definitely stay tuned with y'all. You guys will get product update emails. We're dropping our webinar. We're dropping more features like we showed you. And we're going to keep on pushing things into 2024 and beyond, and hopefully making it easier for anyone and everyone to grow their business however they want to. And with that, appreciate y'all.
Bye, guys. Thank you.